Okay, so slice of petrified alien story. A lot of people ask for this story. This is a moment in my life. That is what I say a lot because I have had a lot of moments that are amazing, I guess would be the right word. So, my mother was crazy. Absolutely crazy. She'd be the type of person that we would be walking along the road and she would pass by a building that was really old and dilapidated, and next thing you know she'd be on the ground crying, beating at the windows, talking about the blood and the horror that happened in there. This actually happened. This was a moment in my life. I was in 4th grade, had to go to the closest cafe and grab one of their salt shakers. So I'm running to my mom. I'm swinging this salt shaker around the cone of safety. And so I could go over her because everyone knows that ghosts can't cross over salt. So I'm slinging this around. I'm in 4th grade. My mom's crying like an idiot on the sidewalk. And I'm telling people, it's okay, I got this, as I'm flinging a salt shaker. So this is the type of woman that my mother was. My father was, he tried to convince people that just as soon as the fairies were done teaching him the sacred Celtic knotwork patterns, that he was going to move down to Argentina and teach these sacred Celtic knotwork patterns to the shamans down there and live like a king. So this is the basis for my childhood. Now, so on to the slice of petrified alien brain story. I went home to my parents' house and my mother goes, we're going to Marcia's. Now I tell you about Marcia. Marcia's family came over on covered wagon. The house was very, very old. They had a lot of goats there and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed going there because I love the goats. And so basically I come home, they say we're going to Marcia's. I'm super excited about this because I really, really like the goats. So I jump in my car and I'm driving. And I pull into Marcia's and my mother comes out and goes, you had this force field around your car. Like I could have shot it and it just would have like, the bullet would have ricocheted. You could have even been hit by a meteorite. Now me, look at my mother and I'm like, well, I just waxed it. Yeah. So we're in there. And what is normally a very relaxed, lean back, talk about your crazy stuff overview. They're all acting very prim and proper, which is making me very nervous. Whereas 9 times out of 10, they're leaning back talking about the latest fairy that they were talking to. They are instead holding their hands, laughing in that way. You know, that way that, oh, and I'm starting to get nervous here. I'm like, not good. So, but inside their big main room, living room, is a table. It's kind of a card table, a bit more sturdier, and there's nothing on it. And I'm like, So I put a coffee cup down on this table, and like everyone just is suddenly like froze, and I'm grab my coffee cup. Shit. So they produce a clean rag, wipe it off my dirty, dirty coffee cup, and they start going on, and I'm getting more and more nervous because that table could be an altar. So I'm going, oh God, I don't want it to be an altar. I don't feel like dealing with this with my family. I don't want an altar. So I'm kind of, getting more and more anxious. Next thing you know, out of nowhere, I think they may have had a trap door or my back was turned. Don't know. But Colonel Sanders is right in front of me. And I'm like, I love me some KFC. Where you get some KFC? I'm all excited about this. And he has an attaché. So he's holding there and everyone's like, oh, and they all go sit down. And I'm like, okay, I love me some KFC. So I sit down and kind of watching. And he opens up this attaché. And I'm looking, and inside this attaché is a bunch of rocks. I love rocks. I'm like, it ain't KFC, but I love me some rocks. So I'm really excited about the rock bit. And looking at them, trying to get a peek of them, and excited, but really can't because the table, I'm sitting down. And he opens one up, and it looks like someone took concrete, put it in a cake batter dispenser thing, did a bunch of little things, and then put slices in it. I'm looking at it. He goes, holds it up, and he goes, "This is a slice of petrified alien brain." I kind of wish it was an altar at that time because I don't know anything about aliens or brains. And I'm like, shit. So Marcia, she takes this rock, and she is or petrified alien brain. She holds it in her lap, and she's, what? I don't understand. Lifts her head, looks at everyone, goes, "I cannot channel the aliens because there's too much interference from the ghosts." She goes, "But I got this. It's okay. I got this." And in the corner of their living room, their floor is made out of flagstone. They have ground in a trench, like a big circle trench, and they've put a rocking chair in the middle of it. Now what they've done is they've filled this trench with water that is holy water and salted and blessed. So it's like, it's got everything. And they have a little pump that is pumping the water in a circle. This is the corner of solitude. Between the holy water, the salt, the moving water, and everything, no ghost can pass into this circle. This is the corner of solitude. So let's pause for a minute. Let's take a step back. I am at a very, very, very loved one's homestead. I have Colonel Sanders with a bunch of rocks. I have Marcia in the corner of solitude channeling the aliens through a slice of petrified alien brain. I start counting rocks. And I start counting people. There is no way I am going to be able to get out of this. There are more rocks than there are people. Not only that, but 9 times out of 10 people have to try to do their little thing with the rock, and then they have to transfer it to someone else so that they can try to channel whatever it is. So, I'm waiting there, I'm watching everyone, and he opens up this other little pocket. Opens up, and it looks like maybe a piece of flint or bloodstone. If it were wet, it would look kind of like liver. He holds it up and goes, "This is a slice," no, not a slice. "This is a petrified heart." It was either Incan or Aztec. I can't remember. I use Aztec. I don't know why, but I like that better. "This is the petrified heart of a 5-year-old Aztec child that was sacrificed." That was when the comment that I made happened. I, forgetting myself, say, wouldn't it be shrivelly? I mean, really, wouldn't it? It would be shrivelly. I mean, it's a heart. My mother was totally aghast. I was blaspheming against Colonel Sanders and his rocks. I was probably disturbing Marcia, channeling the aliens. So she takes this rock. I took both hands. Takes this rock. And the minute it hits her hands, she is thrown against the wall. And she starts thrashing about, screaming, "Mommy, Mommy, cut the bonds. Why are these men hurting me, Mommy?" I did not make the next comment, because why is a 5-year-old Aztec child speaking English? I did not. Instead, my brain is in a totally other spot. It is how to get out of this. So let's take another step back. I'm at a family's homestead. I have Colonel Sanders sitting there with a bunch of rocks, more rocks than people. I have Marcia in the corner of solitude channeling the aliens through a slice of petrified alien brain. And my mother is being possessed by an English-speaking Aztec child. This is a moment in my life. So, I'm going through, I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so if I just go up and I just tell them they're all crazy and walk out, that table's going to end up being an altar and I'm going to be on it because they're going to need to drop my walls because now suddenly I'm no longer in the fold. And if I tell them that I don't feel anything, it's not working today, again, with it being an altar. And so I'm trying to, you know, I mean, I can try to be possessed, pretend to be possessed. But I just really wasn't down with the play acting that day. And so I knew I was going to have to play act. It was the only way I was going to get out of it without that table being an altar. What would be best? So I remember back at all my movies, all the movies of possession and horrible, their spines are ramrod straight. So I'm sitting back and I'm counting. I'm like, I got an idea. So suddenly I'm like, ramrod straight, and I raise, and everyone's like, oh my God, Cricket's got something going on. They're like, and so I was able to pull that off. I kind of got their attention. They think that I'm, you know, got something going on, and I float ethereally. Yes, I floated ethereally over to the front door. Now the front door was one of those old doors where you kind of have to try to jiggle the handle just right so it catches, and you have to turn it 5 times just so you can open. It's just a really old door. By the grace of all that is good, I was able to put my finger on the door and run it, and I was like, whoosh, and it opened. And I'm like, oh my God, I actually this may be possessed. I'm okay with it right now if it'll get me out of here. But I'm not out of the woods yet. So I'm floating ethereally, and I go out, and I'm like, okay, where do I go? Because I really can't get my car out because my mother blocked it in. I mean, it does have a force field. I guess I could have just, you know, pushed her out of the way, but you never know. So float ethereally by their picture window, and I go into the goat paddock, which is probably my favorite place to be there. And I'm standing there, because you know when people are possessed, they just kind of stand there. Like that. However, there were baby goats, which were absolutely adorable. I love the little baby goats. But I have this little baby goat going, punk, punk, up against my leg. So let's take another step back. This is a moment in my life. I am at an old homestead. Marcia is channeling the aliens through a slice of petrified alien brain in the corner of solitude. I have Colonel Sanders with his pile of rocks, getting ready to possess us with his rocks. And my mother is being possessed by an English-speaking Aztec child. I am out in a goat paddock pretending to be possessed, being attacked by a baby goat. This is a moment in my life. Now, there really isn't much left to the story other than the fact that finally this adorable, wonderful baby goat was able to climb up, grabbing a hold of the edge of my jeans, my shirt. I was so scratched up. Ended up crawling on my shoulder and headbutting me enough. I think that would take me out of a possession, I think. Anyways, I hope. So there is my story. That is the slice of petrified alien brain. Like most real stories, there is no big anticlimactic ending. I'm going to grab some KFC now.